Welcome to chiustream. Super happy to be back in Toronto, Canada. I was in Montreal for a good while, and Saint Julien in the just outside of Montreal in the in-house workshop, Imaginism in-house workshop. Big shout outs to all the students out there in the Imaginism in-house workshop. It's great to hang out with you guys all you guys, and wow, what a weekend, right? What a weekend. Holy smokes. The Schoolism Live Montreal workshop just happened last weekend. It was epic. Epic. Not only did we get to see, demonstrations of how they painted all their secrets from Robert Kondo, Nathan Fowkes, and Dice Satsumi, but we also got to see demos of how they approached their paintings in all sorts of different ways. Having three just masters of the industry sharing with us their knowledge, I know, my head just felt like it was going to explode, like I needed to start painting. I needed to start painting something right away and start trying some of these techniques and philosophies out. So big, huge thank you to Nathan, Robert, and Dice for coming out and just sharing with us their immense, immense knowledge. It was so good. And the lucky in-house workshop students that were doing the 30-day intensive workshop out in Saint Julien, just outside of Montreal, they got to not just attend these workshops, but got to, eat with the teachers and, talk with them and really pick their brains. And so I hope everybody at the in-house workshop had a fantastic time. And everybody that showed up for the workshop had a fantastic time. It was over 50% that traveled into Montreal to attend the workshop. That, I was probably the most proud of that fact, because it really shows that schoolism, these workshops, attract the super hungry, the ones that want to, be extremely successful in their careers, not just have a job in the art industry, but be the best artist that they can be. So that was amazing. Wonderful to see such passion for what we do. And I just want to give a big shout out to my buddy T-Bear, Thierry Lafontaine in Quebec, that mans the in-house workshop. One of my long-time friends, for taking care of all the instructors and helping us just make it just an amazing event. So I see a whole bunch of people on here today. Great to see everybody on here. Let's give a couple shout outs to some people out there that from all over the world. I saw Romania. Somebody said, "Hi, good morning from Romania," or something like that. Why don't you let me know where you're from, and I'll give you a shout out. I see Anna Maria Jung from Austria. Always up in here, and Gigi Soul Sister from California. Waikit, Malaysia, Peru, Germany, Chile, Austria, Brazil, Italy, Philippines, Portugal, Malaysia, holy smokes, Florida, South Africa, right on, India, Indiana, Netherlands, Ireland, France, wow, Russia, all over the place, Atlanta, Serbia, amazing. That's what gets me pumped. That's what totally gets me pumped to do these streams. Just knowing that, it's bringing all these like-minded people together. And I see that everybody's chatting in the chats during these streams. I think that's just so great. Giving your advice and your own experiences and things like that. Sharing, I'm a true believer in when you teach something to somebody else, it's like you learn it all over again, and you're able to kind of distill what it is that you do to make yourself successful into something even more simplified, or make your painting successful into something more simplified, because you have to rethink everything, right? So that's one of the best reasons to just share, share and pass on the knowledge. So really great to see such a healthy and sharing community. It's great. Today I wanted to talk about a few things. I just wrote down a couple little topics here, as well as you can feel free to send me your comments and questions. Okay, so if you have a question for me, all you have to do is, today I just made it simple. I just posted on my own personal page. You can go to facebook.com/bobby.chiu, CHIU. And the very first post there, you can see I put a chiustream poster there. You can feel free to ask me questions there. As well, I want to give away something cool. So how to get the top education for free? Just share and like the post on Facebook on my personal page, bobby.chiu, CHIU, and I'm going to pick a random winner during my live stream today. Okay, and the winner will receive a free Schoolism class, self-taught version of their choosing. This is also to help promote the fact that our fall sale is almost over on Schoolism. It's a sale that's really special. It only happens twice a year, any sale on Schoolism. One in the fall, one in the spring. So right now the fall one's happening and there's less than a week left. It's $100 off all the self-taught versions of Schoolism classes. So definitely take advantage of that. And the first thing I wanted to just mention today, I wrote this down as I was preparing for the stream, things that I wanted to mention. I wrote down, act as if what you do today can make a huge difference, because it can. That's something to really think about. Too many times we feel like what we can do during today, during any day, has its limitations. But let me just try to expand this little phrase here that I wrote down. Realize that every time that we put something on the internet, it has the potential to reach the world, to become completely, totally viral, and just reach the whole world. That's a golden thought right there. Many of you would recognize the image that I'm about to describe to you. It's an Apple logo. And instead of the bite cut out of it, it was the profile of Steve Jobs cut out of it. This was an image that went completely worldwide viral when Steve Jobs died, and it was done by a student in Asia. Somebody that didn't have hundreds of thousands of followers. That's an amazing thing. That is proof that because we're so connected nowadays, we have all the, so much more potential. So today, act and feel like today can make a huge difference, because it totally can. Not only will these questions be able to, just to just looking in the comments, people are saying that they can't add a question unless, I guess unless they're following me or one of my friends or something like that. You know what? You can go to bit.do/chiustream, CHIU stream, STREAM, and you could post something there as well. Okay, I'll look on both. I knew there was a reason why I didn't use my personal stream, and now you've totally just given me that reason. Okay, so that's bit.do/chiustream. That will lead you to the chiustream fan page. There you can write your question, okay? And I'll definitely look at both. And while we're on the topic of the Facebook questions, why don't I just start going to some of these questions here, okay? So let's go to the first question I got here, which is from Maya. Hey Maya. I took a schoolism class years ago and I really loved it. Been thinking of signing up for a different one in the near future. My question is, would I be able to access my old account and see my personal critiques from back then? Most likely not. You know, we only put like, well, we put, 25 or so feedback videos that everybody can watch from previous students, previous assignments, and things like that. So yours might be a little too old, your class. However, now, when you sign up for a class, you can download your feedback videos, okay, if you took a class now. So that you can keep, and hope that answers your question. So next question, Shiab writes, you've been asked this question lots of times. When working at home, how can you overcome laziness and break free from art blocks? And also, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Interesting. Okay, so the easy one, what did I have for breakfast this morning? I had cereal. I had cashew cereal. Yeah, there you go. Now for the other question, cashew cereal with almond milk instead of real milk. It's a lot healthier. So how do you overcome laziness and break free from art blocks? Sometimes what you need to do if you're feeling lazy is dig deep and just shake yourself up, psych yourself into it. Just like before a big football game or something like that, how athletes will psych themselves up. You got to do the same thing. You got to put your brain in automatic to psych yourself up. Once you hear that alarm clock, what I try to do is I literally try to just jump out of bed, and just another thing I do is I'll put my alarm clock really far away and really loud. So that means I have to jump out of bed, run over to the alarm clock, turn it off, in the room outside, and then by that time I'm pretty awake. How do I get away from just letting laziness take over? You gotta have some kind of automatic alarm clock in your head where it's just like every time you feel comfortable, something just grabs you and shakes you, inside, and then you're just like, I gotta get up, I gotta do something, let's do something, what can we do? And just make it this habit of searching for and being able to enjoy a little bit of discomfort. Stay away from things that just make you lethargic and just sitting there all day on your sofa binge watching whatever it is you're watching on Netflix. Let me tell you something, time will go by a lot faster than you think, and if you just pull in all these tiny little minutes that you would be otherwise just, doing stuff that's unproductive, and you just spend these tiny little minutes doing tiny little things that are productive, you'll see just how far that's going to take you. It will take you tremendously far. And you know what? So many times people will ask, what was your big break, Bobby? What was your big break that really, where you were like, now I feel good about my career, things are doing well, I feel like an artist now, a professional artist. What were the big breaks that helped you make it? Well, that question is kind of funny because I feel like there were no big breaks. There were no big breaks. There were only tiny breaks consistently that together, just like a snowball rolling downhill, starts to collect, starts to build momentum. And before you know it, the momentum is taking you, just as far as you're pushing, or even further. So you don't even have to push as far, as hard anymore, really trying to, make things happen. Imagine it's like you're pushing a boulder. At first, you're exerting all this effort, and your artistic muscles are not as strong yet, but you're putting in all this effort, and you're seeing no result or barely any result. The boulder is not moving. But you know what? Things are happening. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep just exerting that effort. Because things are happening. Your muscles are starting to strengthen. Your artistic muscles are starting to strengthen. Things are starting to come together. And before you know it, the boulder starts to move a little. And as you keep pushing, this boulder of momentum of your art career will start to move faster and faster and faster. And consistent effort is the key. Tiny little steps, that's the key. It's not one huge thing that just all of a sudden changes everything. You got to stay consistent. And we got to think that we're in this for the long run. There's too many people that are thinking so short term. If you want to be an artist for the rest of your life as your career, then you got to think long run. Long run means a great routine. Long run means that if you're trying super hard, as hard as you can, with a positive attitude, and things don't work out, that doesn't mean that you didn't succeed. If you're using common sense, you're constantly looking around saying, am I going the right direction? Am I doing things correctly? Can I do them in a better way? Maybe there's a better direction I can go. And constant effort and positivity, especially when you have every reason not to be positive. Those are the game plan. That's totally the game plan for success in the long run. Even if the project, whatever you're working on, flopped, it doesn't matter, because you know what? Almost guaranteed there's going to be somebody else there that was working on whatever you were working on, or saw whatever you were working on and knew how hard you worked, and they're going to do something else. Who do you think the first kind of people are that person's going to bring on to the next project? Of course, they're going to look at the people that really gave it their heart and soul. The really, truly passionate individuals that really, really tried hard. That is why when you keep a positive attitude, you try super hard, and you're constantly using your common sense, you're going to do extremely well. And I emphasize the common sense part because you can try super hard running into a brick wall. All your effort. But is that going to do you any good? No. At the workshop, the Montreal workshop, I was talking to some attendees, and they were saying, one was saying to the other, we're talking about the same thing, and one was saying to the other, yeah, it's not a sprint. Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I agree, and I want to add something to that. It's a marathon, but it's not a marathon on like a racetrack, like a track and field kind of track. No, this is a marathon through the woods, through the water, through over mountains, everything. So you have to constantly keep your head up, look where you're going. Am I going to run into a tree? Am I going to fall into the water? Am I going to fall off a cliff? You have to keep looking around. So how does that equate to, what does that really mean in real life? It means look at the job that you have. What is the potential in that job? Is that job the same kind of job, the same kinds of jobs that you really want to do on a much higher level? Because if it is, then that sounds like a good stepping stone. If it's not, then it sounds like you're going in the wrong direction. Are you taking steps forward towards your goals or away from them? Are you sidestepping? That's one of the most common kind of things that becomes a problem when you start sidestepping. And an example of this would be, have you ever had a job where you get this job offer, you don't absolutely need it, but you look at it and go, that's pretty simple, I could do that. Yeah, it won't take me very long. Well, all that time that you're spending on that job that is simple and won't take you very long, it's not going to bring you closer to your goals. That's a sidestep or a step backwards. Use all this time to keep pushing that boulder. Keep pushing towards that goal. Imagine you're pushing a boulder and then all of a sudden you go, oh, there's a little cute bunny there. I'm going to go chase that for a bit. The momentum is lost. To get really good results, you gotta stick to your goals. Okay, let's go to another question here. Even though I went on with that one for quite a bit, went into another question, another question. Here's a question from Daniel. What do you think about Gnomon? I've been accepted recently and would love to hear someone talk about it more than just, you don't have to go, lol. Okay, well, you know what? Gnomon, I have not taken their live classes. I don't know of many people that have, so I'm the wrong person to talk about that. However, I have bought their DVDs in the past when I was a student, and some of them were really good. Some of them were awesome. It's always best to look for reviews. That's my opinion, to find out which ones are going to be just really, really great. So let's move on to the next question. So I don't have too much info on that one. Thank you for the kind words, Jerry. It wasn't a question. It's more like a comment. So thank you for the kind words. Let's go to Leanna. How long did it take you to establish the habits and routines you have now? Was it a gradual process, like one habit at a time? Yes, it was absolutely a gradual process. Habits, I found, to develop super rock solid, strong habits, it has to be a gradual thing. Imagine a habit is like a path through the forest. Like we're talking about marathons through the forest. Let's kind of use this example. Imagine a habit is a path through the forest. And why is it a path through the forest? Because you're constantly going down that same path, right? You're constantly going down that same route, and all of a sudden, slowly and surely, it makes a nice path for you. So you can go down that route easier and easier. Whether that is a good route or not, it definitely becomes easier and easier to go down it after continuously going. Now, if you want to make a new path, it's kind of like not going down that path anymore, instead going straight through the bushes. If you just go straight through the bushes, that's going to be difficult. What you want to do is something gradual. Like every day you hack at those bushes a little bit. And before you know it, you're going to clear up a space and you're going to start making a path. It's all about these little consistent steps towards making a new path. You know, that is how you want to build a nice, strong habit. For bad habits, what I try to do is I just try to make them harder and harder to do. For example, if I have this pinball machine outside in the studio, and it's this old pinball machine. It's a Terminator 2 pinball machine from my childhood. You know, I love the thing. I was playing it way too much when I first got it. So there's a key on that machine, and I can use the key to open it up, and that's when you can take out quarters or you can slide off the glass for the pinball machine. So what I did was I slid off the glass and I put a big plaster puck right in the middle of the pinball machine. And then locked everything back up. So that means if I want to play the pinball machine, I just made it a little harder to do so. So now I have to go and get the key. I have to put the key, open it up, slide off the glass, take out the plaster, close everything back up in order to play it. After a while, perhaps what you did to make it a little harder to do those bad habits, you get used to it. And you're like, it's not that bad. You get used to the fact that you always got to unlock everything and take out the plaster puck and so on and so forth. So then you just got to make it a little harder and a little harder and a little harder. And so I took the key, I put the key in another room, so I would have to go into that room, get the key out, then go to my pinball machine, and so on and so forth. Then that didn't work. I put the key into a box into another room, so I have to go into the box, and then a box within a box, and so on and so forth. You know, it just becomes just so troublesome that you're just like, nah, you know what, forget it. It's not worth it. And so now I haven't played that pinball machine in, at least a year since the last time I just played it one time. That's a really good way to take care of bad habits and to make things easier and easier for you helps to establish good habits. For example, getting your paints out, setting them up so that you don't have to set them up to do some painting. Just making it very accessible. You can just sit down and just start painting. For me, the gym was always difficult, so get my gym bag ready for the next morning. I could just come out, grab the gym bag, put on my shoes, and go to the gym. Okay, so second question by Leanna. What are your thoughts about getting a job somewhat related to design or illustration, even if it's not the kind of art that I really want to make? My family's always pushing me to get a job in design, which isn't even my specialty or what I like, or graphic arts production, but I'm worried that could take energy away from what I really dream of doing. In 2 years, I'll need to completely support myself. Should I use the time sacrificing a full-time art job now and take a part-time job instead so I can work towards a full-time, or so I can work full-time on my portfolio and reach for a future job I would I would have more love for? Or is it possible to do both? What a good question, Leanna. First of all, thank you so much for that awesome question, because it's going to pertain to so many different people. This is such a common thing. First of all, okay, our parents, family members, co-workers, whoever, You know, these people that love us are saying these things because they want to make sure that we'll be okay. Sometimes they don't understand. Sometimes they don't understand what you're pursuing. Sometimes they don't understand that, yeah, it's totally possible to do these things. And sometimes they guide you the wrong way. I know my parents were guiding me the wrong way, all out of love. They wanted me to go into business school, which I did, only to drop out. But you know what? It was all out of love, and in the end, it did help. It helped me because I was just so much more determined to do art. Now, in your case, you're the one that's living your life, right? It's not your parents. You're gonna most likely live far past their lives even. Do what you want to do. You know, really go for your dreams. How many people do you think out there actually go for their dreams? It's probably quite sad, the number. That's why you are going to feel so awesome, so great about yourself for going after your dreams. When you go after your dreams, you got to go at it, 100%. Maximum effort. You got to just put in everything into it. When you're trying to go from how your life is now to something completely different, we all have to pay a huge price for that. And a lot of times that's effort. A lot of times that's bad things happening to you and you staying positive about it. Everybody has to pay a price. So get ready for that. And I'd say do what you want to do. Don't do what your parents want you to do. Do what you want to do and be smart about it. Maximum effort means not just maximum effort in trying and painting every day, but strategizing as well, thinking with your common sense, what's the best way for me to improve? Especially you're saying 2 years. That means that you should be learning every day, not just practicing. Practicing would be a result of learning. I'm talking about the highest level of improvement, taking classes, studying in books, watching DVDs, trying them out. But of course, the best way is if you get somebody from the very top of the industry to teach you. Not just any teacher, but the people that are already doing the top jobs. What's the easiest way to get to the top? It's to learn from the people at the top. I went to Sheridan College. Great school. I really loved that school. However, if you were to compare the education that you would get from the top level artists that are working in the industry, and you compare it to any school out there with teachers that are not working at the top jobs of the industry, it wouldn't be comparable. The education that you would get from those people working far surpass the people that have never done it before, or perhaps have done those jobs years and years ago. And I'm not trying to knock these people. It's just pure common sense. How are you going to teach somebody to be a lion tamer if they've never tamed lions before? They only tamed, kittens and puppies. It's a whole different ball game. That's the reason I started schoolism in the first place, because I live in Toronto, Canada. And I wanted to learn from all these amazing artists out there that I read about or am admirers of, people that I follow, people that I really want to learn, how do they do that? That's the whole mission of schoolism, to make this education accessible for anybody. That was the hardest part. So the other thing I want to mention is I would rather take a job where it's being a security guard, or working in a gas station, things like this, things where I would have a lot of time for myself, so I could sketch and things like that. I would rather take a job like that than take a bad art job that I don't want to do. Because I've done that before. I've taken bad art jobs. You start painting stuff, you start drawing things that you don't enjoy, and you do this for 8 or 9 hours. By the time you go home, you don't want to paint and draw anymore. But you know what? I've also had those jobs. I was a data manager, just transferring files. Before Imaginism Studios, just transferring files all day. That was awesome. I had my own room, sending files all day, had lots of time for myself to paint and draw all the time and whatever I wanted. Okay, let's go to the next one. Cindy Yan asks or says, I was invited to go back to college and talk to my students about careers and portfolios. I suggested schoolism and chiustream to all of them. Right on! Spreading the good vibes! And I'm very excited to be taking Steven Silver's character design class soon. Right on. Even though Steven Silver and I, we do completely different styles. His character design class I learned a ton from, because it talks about the fundamentals that applies to television, to games, to film, to live action. So you're going to really love it. So let's go to the next one here. Jay Lee, I was curious to know how important life drawing, figure drawing is to learning more about illustration and digital painting. What are the best ways for somebody to build a strong foundation in order to get into the industry? Okay, that's 2 questions. So, life drawing, figure drawing, how important is it? It's extremely important, but the really important part is, how are you doing the life drawing or figure drawing? What are you concentrating on? If every day you're just concentrating on copying what you see, you will become a great copier. If every day you work on the lines and designing the line, what you see in a linear fashion, designing it and whatever, then you'll become great at designing with lines. Just make sure that you have a point, you have an objective when you're doing life drawing, because life is the source. Life is the source of all art. All art has aspects of life that we can draw from life in it. Whether it's fictional, whether it's abstract, there's always something in there that kind of is inspired by life. So you want to think about what it is that you want to learn and concentrate on that, learning from life. If you really want to understand lighting, then you would really concentrate on the tones of everything. Where are all the different lights and shadows coming from, and trying to make sense of it. So yeah, life drawing is super important. However, if you're not consciously thinking about what it is you want to learn from it, it's not going to do you much good. Okay, so what are the best ways for someone to build a strong foundation in order to get into the industry? Take classes. Take classes from people that are really good. not just a painting class. Oh, let me sign up for that painting class. I heard that that school is really great. Well, who's teaching that painting class? Because teachers change all the time. And if you have a bad teacher, even if they're amazing artists, perhaps they have a bad attitude or things like that, I would steer away from that. Because the teacher is so important. If you have a really good teacher, if all your teachers are amazing, you will excel tremendously. It makes sense. People that really love what they're doing, really passionate about teaching, really good at articulating their thoughts, those are going to be really good teachers. You know, really good at what they do. You know, the people that attended the schoolism workshop this weekend, that was just 2 days. 8 hours each day. Imagine that all your classes in college were like those 2 days, except this happened for 8 months. Imagine how much knowledge and how good you would get. You know, you gotta look for the people with the good knowledge and the good attitude and the good kind of the good soul for teaching. Irina asks, can you talk a little bit about how you started schoolism? What were the challenges? You know, I started schoolism out of necessity. You know, I had this idea, and it came from Norman Rockwell's old school, the famous artist course. So you would, you know, apply for this course. Back in the day, well, not in my day, but quite a while ago, and then you would get textbooks in the mail. You would read the textbooks, do the assignments, and then you'd mail it back. And then weeks later, you would get your assignment back to you, and somebody's drawn on top of it. Right? So you're getting education by these famous artists. And that was the idea of the course, that you're learning from the top people. Well, you know, we live in the internet age now, so the opportunity was there. Now we can do the same thing, you know, where we actually take a course, we learn from that person, and we literally see that person draw and paint over top of your assignment. Not only that, but we can hear that person. So it's like what they did way back when, except accelerated and amplified. And that was the whole entire idea behind schoolism, was for artists. Imagine you're in college and you can take a class directly with one of your favorite artists. How much more would you try? Right? How much more would you respect what people are telling you? Because sometimes people tell you stuff, teachers tell you stuff, and you're thinking, I've never even seen you draw before. Can you even draw? You know, sometimes this happens, and sometimes that student's right. They can't draw. Of course, you know, I just want to state that there are some really good teachers out there. And some of them have never really done anything in the industry, but then they're great teachers. But those people are rare, okay? I've never seen a school where every single teacher was awesome. But there's definitely some really good ones out there. So, schoolism, that's how it started. It started from that whole idea of that the old Norman Rockwell school, to learn from your favorite artists that are top of their game and amazing at teaching. You know, I built schoolism because I wanted to learn from them. And I felt like if I wanted to learn from them, others will too. And it's worked. It's such a great opportunity. If you have the chance, just ask other people that have taken these courses. Right now, there's a really good opportunity, if I could just mention it. Alex Wu, story artist at Pixar, doesn't just do story at Pixar, which is already incredible, but he also teaches the gesture drawing class with Luis Gonzalez for the artists at Pixar. They are teaching the artists at Pixar. So in the grand scheme of the best of the best of the best gesture drawing teachers, I would feel very confident in putting both of them, Luis Gonzalez and Alex Wu, at number one, at the top of the pile. Because I've also taken their classes. I've also seen how they talk about their philosophies and everything behind gesture drawing. And for those of you that are interested, he actually just opened a class that it starts on February 2nd, 2015. He's taking a limited amount of students. And it's open right now, Gesture Drawing with Alex Wu. Should be amazing. It's always amazing. But, if you have the right time, the right schedule, whatever, if it makes sense to you, then you got to do it. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't do it. Okay? Whatever I say on these streams, I always say that this is what's worked for me. These are my opinions, and this is what's worked for me. It might not work for everybody. I don't know. You might have different opinions as well. But if you do have the same opinion as me, if you feel like it makes sense, we have to do the things that make sense to us. Okay? If you don't, then you're doing a disservice to yourself. Okay. Let's see here. Just gonna refresh the page, get some other questions. Let's go to some questions on the chiustream page, because there's a bunch of people that couldn't ask questions. So let's go to Lady Happy Hamburger. So she said, "Hooray, I can't believe it. I'm selected for an interview for the Imaginism in-house workshop." Right on. That is the most intensive workshop I've ever heard of, ever. Because you're actually living there with your mentor, Thierry Lafontaine. And there's only 4 artists that are accepted at a time. So I wish you luck with your interview. Can you give me some advice on making a good impression? Appreciation. Show your appreciation. That's a really good one. Don't try to act cocky, even though I have a good feeling that you wouldn't anyways. Just be a good person, open-minded, and humble. When you're all 3 of those things, those are like the key ingredients for being an amazing student. And that's what we're looking for, people that can benefit the most from this experience. Okay, so that's what I'd say. Okay. Let's see. So Andrea asks, it's easy for me to come up with a character, but when it comes to the background or elements, I'm struggling a lot. What would you suggest to practice, take a course, etc.? Practice, I would say, watch some videos, watch a lot of videos, look at a lot of paintings, study those paintings, copy the paintings. And when you copy the paintings, don't just copy them, but try to do it in a way where you are trying to break down, where you're trying to really break down how that person painted it. What did they do first? What did they do second? Why did they do that? What were they thinking? That's how you really analyze something. Of course, if you can actually ask them in person or live or whatever, over Skype or whatever, then that's way better. That's why I always recommend taking the full classes. If you're to take a schoolism class, self-taught is great as well, but the full class is definitely worth it. What class would you take? That's a no-brainer. I would take environment design with Nathan Fowkes. That's what he's been doing for 20 years. He's brilliant at it. And imagine him painting over top of your stuff, teaching you specifically on every single assignment. The amount of improvement that I've seen from his students has been tremendous. So that's what I'd recommend. Or, you know, there are other nice classes out there and things like that. Just make sure that you look for reviews. Don't just, drop money in there. And same with schoolism classes. Look for reviews from other past students and see what they say about those classes. Another class that has just opened up today is Lighting for Story and Concept with Sam Nielsen. If you ever wondered about how light, color, and surface colors interact, how shadows are casted by lights of different sizes and from different positions, how light is scattered by atmospheric effects, things like this, how to paint materials with various attributes like matte, shiny, textured surfaces, translucent materials, those kind of things, how to paint objects under lights of different sizes or different colors. That's the class. And just open for July 20th, 2015. It's a very popular new class, so definitely recommend that as well. Let's go on to just some non-schoolism questions here, just for a bit, because I feel like starting to turn into a commercial here. So, always love joining chiustream each and every week. Question: are you participating in Inktober again for this year? I participated a little tiny bit last year. I don't know if I'll be able to participate this year because October 1st I'm heading out to San Francisco, then to London and Berlin before I come back to Toronto, and so that's most of the month of October. So I don't know. It'll be difficult. What's better when doing studies from nature? Plaster cast, for example, to do many fast studies or long ones? All of them. Everything, all of the above. What's the best thing to do? Study from photos, study from life, study from other artists. What's the best thing to do? All of them. All of them, all at once. We're trying to get to success, right? We're trying to get to become a successful artist, to make it from absolute obscurity, nobody knows you, to absolute success. What's that going to take? That's going to take a huge amount of energy, but it's all very doable. Imagine we are all rocket ships, right? In the beginning of our career, we're on the ground. We're on planet Earth. To get to a successful career, you need to reach high above, past the atmosphere. To get into outer space, a rocket ship needs to burn off 2/3 of its fuel to get out of the atmosphere. That's what we need to do. We need to burn off 2/3 of our fuel to just, get that energy going, to rocket ourselves out of that beginner stage to professional stage. But once you do, once you're in space, it becomes a lot easier, and then you can use a lot less energy to maneuver around. You just kind of spurt out these little uh, air puffs and psh, 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 and navigate your way that way. So much easier. So stay there with me. Put that effort in. Condense it into, compact amounts of time where you're just going at it consistently for a while in the beginning. Okay? So that's what you need to do. Let's go to another one here. Did you always want to create creatures, or did you ever want to do portraits and a more traditional look? Do you ever think of doing a children's book? Children's book, not really. I've just never had the want. Even though we did make an fully animated comic book. It's directed towards kids. So I've done that. It's called Nico and the Sword of Light, where every panel is animated. Now, regarding the other question, did I always want to create creatures? You know what? I always gravitated towards creatures. I used to paint just about everything. I can still, paint a lot more than creatures. It's just that I decide not to. Or I decide to spend most of my time painting creatures because that's what I really love to do. But the other thing is that when people really understand what is your expertise, you start to attract those kind of jobs. Do what you love to do, not what you think can get you a job. Do what you love to do, and the jobs will come. We have so much connectivity nowadays, the ability to reach so many people because of the internet and everything. It makes so many things more possible. A person that just likes to paint creatures, for films in Toronto, Canada, not downtown Toronto, but just, the north part of Toronto, more of the suburbs kind of thing. What are the chances of that person, surviving or thriving? Well, with the internet, it all becomes possible because it allows me to be able to work with anybody around the world. It doesn't even matter. So even if whatever it is that you want to do is very, very specialized, perhaps you only like to paint frogs. Well, now, with the internet, some good common sense and a lot of effort, you will be able to paint frogs and nothing but frogs if you do it right. There's definitely that possibility there. Do you give yourself free time to just relax, or are you always working? That's a really great one. It's extremely important to have free time to just relax. I try to do that as much as possible. I try to do that once a week where I'll wake up really early and perhaps just sit on my balcony and just stare off, and just relax. And let everything try to just let everything just dribble out of your head and think about nothing and just stare and just live life and just appreciate the fact that we're living on this tiny little speck of dust in the universe, a speck of a speck, really, and we're all alive and conscious to witness the whole miracle of it. That's amazing. And just appreciate life. I feel that I didn't really appreciate that in the beginning of my career. But after doing, movies for almost 10 years now, and starting my art career way before that, you definitely appreciate that because it's a very healthy routine to get into for the long run. To empty out your brain and not have so many things kind of just like in your head all the time. It's really healthy for the long run. You'll sleep better. And actually, that is, in a sense, that is meditation. You know, I'm sure there's many different kinds of meditation, and I'm not a meditation expert, but what I feel meditation is great for is not just kind of emptying out everything out of your head so you can just kind of be, and it makes it so much healthier for you and makes you be able to think so much more clearer, but it also helps your willpower. It has been said that thinking about or exercise, meditation, these are really good things to help strengthen your willpower. And it makes sense because who wants to just sit there and do nothing? It's not easy to sit there, do nothing, and think about nothing. Who wants to, get tired and start running and stuff? Not too many people, right? Not too many people. It's much more about doing what you need to do to have a long and healthy career. It's not about the short-term goals. So anyhow, we're just about at the end of our time here, so let me pick a winner that will get some free education, top of the line education, schoolism class of their choice. Okay, so random winner is going to be, let me just open up all the shares here. Okay, so Adriana Bosco. Adriana Bosco, I am going to send you a message on Facebook asking for which class you'd like to get. But congratulations to Adriana Bosco. You have just won a free schoolism class, any of the self-taught version, and congratulations. I hope you really take advantage. I hope you really use it well, and put in all your effort because that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do to become a successful artist. Okay? So there you go. Thank you everybody for tuning in today. It's been great to be back in Toronto, and I look forward to seeing everybody in San Francisco. Okay? Hey, if you are able to, come out to the London workshop or the Berlin workshop, happening October 11th and 12th in London, and then 18th, 19th in Berlin. They're starting to sell out. Tickets are starting to run out, so definitely get on that. The Florianopolis workshop, we have some trouble with the venue and scheduling and things like that, so look out for the dates of that because it's probably going to change. Okay? And that's it. So thanks so much to everybody that came out today, and next week I'm going to be in San Francisco, and I'll be in San Francisco, or I'm going to be traveling for a while, so the next chiustream is actually going to be on the 23rd of October. Okay, I'll make an event on live stream so everybody knows that the next one is going to be on October 23rd. Put it in your calendar. And that's pretty much it. So let's see if we have any other things I want to mention. I think that's about it. Definitely take advantage of the Schoolism self-taught class. It's ending soon, and you don't want to miss out. Alright, so thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next time.